Start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right, first consent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any questions, comments, concerns?
Thank you. Welcome to the new teacher. Yeah. Which I know you're gonna compliment about.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, next is the Dutchess County BOCES Spotlight for entertainment. Board President and Vice President report. We did talk about the, do you have the final version of like what NISBA said?
So unfortunately, because they started at 4:30 instead of 4, and I stayed on till approximately 7:38 p.m. At that point, we were only approximately halfway through. But I will say, so let me just go back to my note. One moment. I had gotten till approximately, number 24, I want to say, of the resolutions, which was the ones that we mostly agreed with. And which NISBA agreed with, except the one about universal pre-K student aid, how we said it shouldn't be by demographic. I believe that was not something that went the way we wanted it to. And what else?
I'm sorry, universal pre-K aid or universal pre-K admissions?
Oh, I'm sorry, admission,
Admission.
yes, thank you, yes, for how, if it would be overcrowded, how we
Yeah,
would
they-
decide who. Okay. And so that is the only one that I have in my notes that was not in the way we had decided. And unfortunately, I don't have the rest of what happened, which the other ones we were kind of different.
Well, when they get that, we'll just send it out to the board.
Okay,
So people can take a read through. The other thing, NISBA used to send that out to all board members. And I don't know if it was there or not, and I just missed it, but I didn't see them, you know. I mean, we always have, of course, you have one person do the voting, but I don't know who to feed that back to, but maybe we can get that back to NISBA. I really want to see them sending that stuff out to the board. Okay. Wanted to just bring up possible workshop in the beginning of December. You know, just to touch base on how we're operating, you know, what we can do different, what we should do different. I was looking at, I think it was, I want to say December 8th. But that could be,
That's a Sunday.
It is a Sunday. We got a Giants game.
oh, that's right. That's where I heard the 8th.
I'm not coming.
Okay, we'll do it on the 9th because I'll be in a really good mood. But is that week, work out for you guys? We could like 9th, 10th, 11th.
Should be fine.
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
Do we not have a meeting?
It's the
No, I don't see it on the
17th.
10th.
and the third.
It's the 17th and then it jumps all the way to like January.
We do have the 17th?
Yeah, it's on my calendar.
Yep.
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
I don't-
Well, I'll touch base with Howard, as long as you guys are okay. Would you rather do it earlier in the week or later?
The only day that would be tough for me would be Wednesday.
Okay,
Um,
so Wednesday it is.
uh-huh.
No, like Monday or Tuesday, to me, you know,
Yeah,
do it earlier in the week. Okay,
You're thinking what, around like 6 or so?
yeah,
Okay.
Do you want me to get dinner?
yeah, that would be good.
Cookies,
thank you.
Cupcakes, cupcakes, we get enough.
Monday
sugar.
the 9th, we're thinking.
Do you want just cookies, Jen? No
No,
dinner, just
don't,
cookies?
listen, I'll be in like, once Halloween hits, it's like a
Sugar
sugar rush from me for like, till the
Well,
new year, so
We'll
no.
try the 9th. If it doesn't work out for some reason, then we'll go with the 10th. Okay? All right, cool. I think that was all I have. Chris, you got anything?
I do not.
All right, Caroline?
Good evening, everyone. For instruction, we've had our coaches here. So Dr. Sobrin was here working with the Elm Drive teachers on instructional strategies for success in mathematics. Shelley Klein worked with our first grade teachers on strategies for teaching literacy, and Garrett Jones-Roy has actually expanded his work. He's supporting ELA, social studies, and special education teachers at our secondary school. So he worked on our early release day with John Hattie's research on effect size for instructional strategies with big impacts on student learning. Our special education teachers worked with Edmonton Exact Path for supporting students through computer adaptive testing, individualized learning paths, and best practices. So part of what attracted us to the Edmonton product is it was in place of the SRI, which was one of the reading inventories that we would use to get individual Lexile levels for students to match them with just right text. So that was accessible for them at their instructional level. So they were able to work both in the classroom and then also recommend text at their individual independent level for reading on their own. So that product sunset, and this was one of the ones that was recommended and explored by the administrators and some teachers, and we agreed upon it. It was offered as a pilot, something that teachers could opt into, and fortunately, many of our teachers have opted into it because they like the readout and the information that they are getting from the product in order to adapt their teaching and help support our students. So far, it's proven to be a great addition to the software that we have available for our teachers and our students. I would like to skip to a special thank you to our E&L department. We have Anna Nairati, who is our E&L coordinator, who organized along with the entire department. So Lisa Noland, Megan Riddle, and Alexandra Ellis, they put together a really nice orientation, I would say, an E&L night for our families of students who are learning English as a new language. That took place last week, and a special thanks also to Ms. Gooddoy, who came, even though she's not part of the E&L department, she always attends and shows her support for her students in the program. And so during that meeting, they were able to introduce students to the parent app for School Tool in their preferred language. So they were able to show parents how to get the information from the school in their native language. And also we were able to share some community resources that would be available to them and show them how to access our accessible website so that it can translate into their native language. So hopefully that will help them to be more connected and more involved in the program. And on April 10th, the E&L department is planning for a multicultural night where students and families can share their heritage and maybe some food from their culture. And then I wanted to just give a warm welcome to Todd Weaver, who is our new elementary teacher. He will be working in the elementary schools, teaching STEAM and library education. So it will be really that library media focus with a focus on STEAM education. He actually comes from a program with that exact background. So he is ready to hit the ground running when he joins us in just a few short weeks. In operations, we provided training for our 10-month staff members for 10 staff members from the Crisis Prevention Institute on de-escalation techniques and supporting students through behaviors and dysregulation. So this was a smaller group, but the trainer will actually be back in November to work with another larger group of staff on a similar training that will be focused more on the de-escalation and really trying to get students back to baseline and helping them work through their dysregulation throughout the school day for the students that applies to. The fall athletic season will be wrapping up here in a couple of weeks. Congratulations to all 225 athletes who participated this season. So those are some really great numbers. We're very happy about that. And we've also had the winter sports signups on Family ID. They will close November 1st ahead of the November 18th winter season. The Millbrook Athletics intent to participate has been conducted for grade 7 to 12 for winter and spring sports, and based on the projected participation numbers, the team mergers that are being discussed potentially with neighboring districts are winter JV and varsity girls basketball with Millbrook as the host school. Right now, there's like 16 total students interested in that program, so we're going to have to decide what to do in terms of, is it even prudent to have two teams, a JV and a varsity level? Or how are we going to make that the most beneficial for the students in the program? So there's some conversations happening around that. Additionally, we will be working 2 days a week with Weebatuck as a host school for that wrestling club that will then, over a 3-year period, we're hoping will grow into a sport, but it will be without a significant investment at this point. It will just be allowing the boys to participate with Weebatuck, and also we will be working with Weebatuck for a varsity softball program with Weebatuck as the host school for spring. That's based on the numbers we have right now. Should anything change, of course, I will be bringing that information back to you. And Mr. Hamel did encourage anyone who has any questions to please contact him directly about that or anything involving athletics. And just kudos to, the high school for a really great Spirit Week that we had throughout the district the week before last. So there was a pep rally, homecoming game, and a dance, and a great time was had by all. And it was even pretty cool to see the Northern Lights up on the football field. So it was a very, very freezing experience, but at least pretty cool to see all the colors up there. On October 18th, elementary students were able to see an energy conservation presentation by the National Theater for Children. This was made possible with support from Central Hudson and was no cost to the district. So thank you to Central Hudson for that presentation. And also they enjoyed Blue Blazer assemblies, recognizing students who displayed the attributes of respect, and also introduced a new responsibility characteristic for this coming month. Tomorrow, Elm Drive students will attend an assembly on dental health for Dental Health Awareness Month. And thank you for the Millbrook Historical Society for volunteering to support our 7th graders who learned about the village on their walking field trip last week. And also thank you to the Carey Institute for our 8th grade students. They had a fabulous field trip as well. And thank you for our partners at Carey Institute who helped Nicole Barnes to plan that experience for our students. New York Finest Speakers was here on October 17th to present about internet safety. We would have loved to have more participants at the event, but it was very informative for those who were able to be there. And we had representatives from Western Connecticut University, Amherst, and WPI last week visiting our high school students and answering any of their questions about those colleges. And the counselors have begun push-in lessons with Alden Place students supporting elementary counseling as per the counseling plan. And also they've participated in some icebreaker activities and activities around maintaining healthy relationships with peers. And I want to congratulate Mr. Gilroy, who completed a successful competitive grant application from the Community Foundation for funds to offset the cost of the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. So we have been pushing our teachers to try and make things as affordable as possible for families. So we had that opportunity and several of our teachers have applied. This is the first feedback that we've gotten that they've been awarded. So congratulations to Mr. Gilroy for his efforts. And then I just have some upcoming events there for you. If you have any questions, I can take them.
So what is the minimum number of students that we need for, like girls softball, or is there do we have to have like backups in place? Do we have to, or is it just, you know, if we had 9, would they play 9-on-9, or how does that work? You know?
I don't know specific, there are some sports that have specific minimums that are set by NIST, by the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. I don't know specifically if softball is one of them. Realistically speaking, I mean, that is the conversation that we're having right now with basketball. And you know, it's not just having enough players, but it's like the reality of golden flu season, injury, you know what I mean? Like, there's all those things you kind of plan for. Obviously basketball being small in terms of, you know, 5 on the court at a time. Certainly lower numbers are more manageable with a sport like that, but you know, what is best for kiddos balancing if we keep them all as one team, you know, are kids really getting the same experience, and how do we best build skills and build a program? And I think there's, you know, philosophical discussions that go into that, right? Like, is it better for those girls to stay with the older varsity girls and have the experience of playing up, and or is it better, yeah, to be on a team where they might get more playing time, you know? So there's lots of conversations that will happen. And we also have to look at what grades those students are in, reminding you that only certain grades can actually,
Right.
you know, break into 2 different teams. And right now we're looking at JV and varsity, but I don't know, that might not be the best overall for the program, so.
But the boys basketball, plenty of numbers, and then winter track. High schools.
All right. Any other questions for Caroline?
Thank you. Oh, can I just ask, the Veterans Day breakfast, is that in one school or all the schools? I don't remember.
So it's in the middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's, Joe Carbone does a fabulous job with that. So he has all the community veterans here for a little breakfast, and then they go into the auditorium for an assembly where students have like pre-scripted questions that they're able to ask veterans about their service in the military. And it's really just a celebration and appreciation effort.
And if someone goes to school here but has like a grandfather that was, they can, even if they're not a Millbrook resident?
Mhm.
Okay. Nice. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Okay, Tom?
All right, hey, good evening. I just want to emphasize a couple of parts of my report. First of all, our Cape counselor, Dora Celestino, had organized also Red Ribbon Week for Alden students. And the highlights of Red Ribbon Week are the following. Students learn the phrase, growing up safe, healthy, and drug-free. We'll be handing out red ribbon bags this Friday, October 25th, in each classroom, and the bags contain wristbands that say, be kind to your mind, live drug-free, and stickers saying, I pledge to be drug-free. On Monday, the Cape offices will give all students a bag that includes a t-shirt and more Red Ribbon Week materials. And 5th grade classrooms developed posters this year with a drug-free theme that the Cape offices voted on for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place competition. We only have 3 5th grade classrooms, so they'll all get an award. No, but all right. So Cape offices are also providing ice cream for all 5th grade students for the poster efforts, not just 1st place, but all the kids. And just to emphasize a little bit of what Caroline said, we are so pleased to have Mrs. Prince, Mr. Chudowski, and Mrs. Domino for helping sell counseling this year. As she said, they've been in the classrooms once already. They did mostly that icebreaker idea, students getting to know them and them getting to know what students we have. Mrs. Prince even touched on careers in 3rd grade level for this first session, which is kind of interesting. Next, our ELA coaches, Ms. Hargrave and Ms. Klein, our Mrs. Hargrave and Mrs. Klein. Ms. Hargrave will be at Alden Place, Thursday, working mostly with fifth grade students. Excuse me, fifth grade teachers on standards, report cards, and reading interventions, mostly fluency and comprehension. Mrs. Klein will work with Alden Place on Superintendent Conference Day, November 5th, focused on fluency and vocabulary instruction. In our band program and chorus, so proud of the impact that they're making. I know I mentioned the concert at the community day that Ms. Donahue did. She's also planning one for the, what's the call? No brick lighted up night? No.
Parade of lights.
The
Parade of Lights Day, there we go. And so that's pretty exciting. That at that event, the third grade chorus group is going to sing. So one thing that she said yesterday was kind of shocking to me, because she said there are only 6 cycles of our 6-day cycles until Alden plays winter concert. So things are getting backed up, I think, in the band and chorus area. They're starting to feel the anxiety of getting ready, and are they ready, and all that stuff. But we're excited about that. Our concerts will be at the high school this year, and we're looking forward to those. The band, I mentioned that it grew, it seems to have grown. It's hard to grow when you're losing a group of 60 and you're replacing it with a group of 45 or 50. But it's more the percentages seem to have grown. And so kudos to Miss Rubin, she works in our band department. Our basketball, foursquare, and hopscotch, and pickleball courts are ready to be used and back of Alden Place. Pickleball nets have arrived for the 4 courts. District workers did an amazing job, and we thank them for that effort. We're so proud also of our Kindness Club and Shooting and Track. The participants and staff are amazing. Wonderful job to those people, Kindness Club and Shooting and Track. And that's basically my report. Any questions?
The concert on the night of Parade of Lights, where is that gonna be held?
At the high school.
Oh, okay.
No, on the Parade of Lights.
Oh, it's pretty much,
It's
that's
usually by the
good point.
kindergarten.
Is that down?
It's usually by the kindergarten.
I think it might be, where's the tree lighting? Yeah,
That's.
Right near the
okay,
tree,
so-
like usually.
Okay,
I think it's there. Yeah, it's earlier. I don't think it'll be light yet at that time, but it's earlier.
cool.
About field trips, has that sort of been settled with all the grade levels? They've sorted out what trips they'll be taking?
We're still working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what trips are happening at this point? What ones are in discussion?
Okay, in 5th grade level, you mean?
All the levels.
All the levels, all right. 3rd grade, they're doing Thompson Pond this week. That's well, it's a trip up to Pine Plains, to do some team building exercises. The, 3rd grade also is going to, sorry. To, yeah, not Gary, I'm sorry, the Fishkill, trip, that one's called.
Yeah.
Sharp Preservation, oh boy, all right, so they're going to Sharp Preservation in February, and then they do a golf course trip in, May. 4th grade is doing, Broadway trip in the spring. We're still working out, if they're doing the, Maritime Museum in Kingston, or if they're doing General Knox headquarters and Kentucky, New Windsor, Cantonment. 5th grade at this point has signed up to do a walking field trip to Cardinal Hayes to do caroling for those students. And that's all I have at 5th grade that's set in stone right at this point.
Okay, but they're looking at other things?
Yes.
Any other questions for Tom? Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
I meant to congratulate Deputy Freer on his award.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Very well deserved.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see. Not too far. Financials, the warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Donation from the MEF, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Questions, comments?
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very nice.
Great.
Printers.
So we know who is actually gonna be using these? I mean, are they in?
The kids in the project lead the way with Mr. Barnes.
Okay, cool. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Annual water testing.
I'll take that one. So I was gonna share just a brief infographic while we talk about it. So basically, for those that may not be familiar, the state requires us to test our drinking water once every 3 years. This started in 2016. When the law was introduced, the sampling requirements were to test all potable water outlets, all known drinking water outlets, cold water only. And the threshold limit was 15 parts per billion. In 2022, that number was reduced from 15 parts per billion to 5. So they lowered the threshold significantly for actionable levels of lead and water. Since the last round of testing, we've noticed that not everybody pays attention to what should be a potable water drinking outlet. People tend to use water from wherever water comes from. And so, with so many other things that we do regarding health and safety, superintendent always references requirements equaling minimums, and we don't necessarily just do the minimum with health and safety things. And we've taken that attitude and applied it to the water testing protocols. And so for this round of testing in particular, we tested everything where water comes out. We have sports teams that want to fill up the jugs on the hose spigots. We want to know if the hose spigots are safe, right? We're using one of our old science labs for a culinary program. We want to know if all the water in the science labs is drinkable or if we need to take action beyond the obvious kitchens, water fountains, etc. If you remember, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we replaced a number of our water fountains with filtered LK automated bottle fillers and water fountains. Those have filters on them. So none of those came back actionable, as we would expect. The filters kind of take care of that for us. We have posted, as we're required to, on our website, all the test results we've received. We've received Elm and Alden's test results so far. We have most of the middle school's results. We're still waiting on, again, some of the outside hose spigots, our ice machines, things that wouldn't typically be tested. We're testing everything. We want to paint a very clear picture. I mean, we're spending all this time and energy talking about the condition of our buildings. We want to know what our water infrastructure's condition is. And in order to do that, we're testing every possible water outlet in the district. So what that means is you're going to see more outlets tested. You're going to see more outlets beyond the threshold because we're testing things that were never tested before and the threshold is lower. And Mr. Mullins and his team are already working on remediation for those outlets that did come back beyond the actionable threshold. So what does that mean? That means in a very short term, sense, if it's not something that we would typically consume drinking water from, we put a sign on that says hand washing or cleaning water only, no drinking. So that's your science labs, that's your custodial closets. I mean, these are places where kids don't even go. Your faculty room sink, we're gonna say, if it comes back actionable, then for now, don't use it for drinking. We're directing people to use the filtered metered fountains and bottle fill stations for consumption. We had some actionable outlets in every kitchen, but we have passed outlets in every kitchen. So Mr. Mullins is working with Ms. Wilcox to make sure that all the kitchens have usable, drinkable, consumable water, and we do. Our kitchens are at the top of our priority list for remediation. Our remediation plan so far is to put filtration on every fixture that comes back beyond the actionable limit. So what that means is We cut the line that feeds the sink, we put a filter on it, and then everything from that filter to the outlet point is replaced with lead-free piping and fixture. So that's the plan right now, that's the plan in progress. For those folks, we send a mailing home, a mass mailing to the community, but if anybody's looking for more information on this, the easiest thing to do is to go to our website, hit the search glass, type the word water. It's typically the first result that comes up. It's water testing results 2024. There will be an archived link to the previous round of testing from 2016, but all of the new results will be posted there by regulation as well. We've also notified Dutchess County Department of Health and the state as we're required to. So we're covering all of our bases there. But with the evolution of the regulation, with the lowering of the threshold and our elective increasing of sampling, we just wanted to kind of take that out to the board and the community to let everybody know what we're doing.
Now, there's, I think, if I remember, there's a few fountains that are shut off.
We
don't have to,
Test them.
we have to test them too.
We test everything. And the way that, you know, again, you can tell people, you know, don't use science lab sinks for drinking water. The reality is if you can fit a cup this big underneath it, we're gonna test it. You know, we even, Mr. Mullins asked me, should we test the eye wash stations? I was like, why not? You're testing everything else. We'll test the eye wash too. You know, just to be safe. And again, if for folks that are really concerned about, lead poisoning, essentially, this is all trying to keep kids safe from excessive lead consumption over time, right? And it's always good to remind folks, they don't spend the majority of their life here with us. So if you're concerned about lead contaminants for your family, please consult your children's physician, your own physician. Test for it, but when you think about how many hours of their year they spend with us versus at home versus at grandma's house, you know, it's always good to look at everywhere the lead could be. We're always concerned about lead paint in old buildings. We remediate as much as we can here, but for families that live in older homes, you know, these are just the things to look for. Typically, where this comes from is in older domestic water infrastructures. Either the pipes themselves contain lead or the solder that joins the pipes contains lead. And through disinfection protocols, sometimes things like chlorine accelerate the leaching of the lead into the water itself. And so for districts that manage their own water, they can treat their systems for to prevent that leaching. We get our water municipally from the municipality, so we're getting treated water. We don't necessarily have the equipment to inject those type of treatments locally, but we are going to do everything we can to filter and capture it right before the point of consumption.
So we do get reports on the source on village water.
We would get, but most of that I would say is relative to the contaminant treatment. Again, we can get treated water from the town, but what happens to it in our building, you know, as the water sits overnight in the pipes, our own pipes could be leaching it. So that's why we test the outlets right where it comes out. It's after we're shut down for, you can see that the minimum number of hours, I think it's 8 or 12 hours, or 8 to 18 hours. We say 12, you shut it down at 7 PM and at 7 AM you can draw. But we're looking at, you know, these laws are designed for us to monitor any potential leaching within our own domestic water system on campus.
Ballpark, how many samples have there been and
Over 200?
how many have been actionable?
I'd have to go back and check. I know, well, like I said, we've had a couple in every area, a couple in every kitchen, but we haven't had any need for shutting down of any full. So I've got, you know, a serviceable food service outlet in every building. We've got water fountains available everywhere because of the filtered units. So I'd have to go back and get that number for you. I don't know it offhand.
And do I remember, we did lead testing last year also, I think, didn't we?
We didn't do it last year. We budgeted for it for this year. It's every 3 years we have to do it.
Okay. Other questions? Thanks, Elliot.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see what's next. Public comment?
No.
Okay. Committee reports, safety committee,
So the safety committee met, we planned for some unification drills for this year. This year will be the high school's turn with assistance from the middle school, so we're waiting for Mr. Sig to provide us with a specific date when that will take place. We've also identified some training that we will be offering to different groups of staff throughout the district. So some staff might include like those who work in the evening. So some of our evening custodial workers who are on campus when maybe groups are using our facilities, but we may not necessarily be here to quarterback an event should there be one. So there'll be some training for our evening staff and also training for event staff. Actually Al Hamill and Golly Ingenito, who are our most typical event staff at, sporting events, will be going to a specific training that is related to that. It was scheduled for tomorrow, but I think I heard that it was rescheduled to a later date, so I'm not entirely positive when it will take place, but they are scheduled to be going to that to bring that information back. And then we did have safety audits of each of our 4 buildings. But I think because it's related to security, we probably should discuss that in executive session. That will not be public information, but it's really just a nighttime audit when the buildings are closed to try and get all of the baseline information, anything that needs to be improved. They went through every single window, doorway, light on the exterior of the building. Anything that they can see from the exterior, looking at open doors in the building, anything to make sure that the building is safe and secure in the PM hours when there's no staff here. So I have those results, and we also spoke about some information related to signage, related to lockdown rules that we're having made. So those should be arriving soon. We're waiting on those. And then they'll be posted. And then also, we talked about just enhancements for different situations, like having badges made, not that can access buildings, but just badges to identify like who are the Millbrook staff at a particular evening event. So those are in the process of being made. So just lots of different things that we're talking about in terms of safety and security around the district.
Elliot, have we gone back and audited our camera system?
Just this week, Carolyn and I were auditing the, not just the layout of the system, but we were auditing users and purposes for investigations, and yeah, we just gone through that a couple days ago.
And there was feedback requested. There was something about giving access.
Sheriff's Department.
Has that been put to bed?
I
I mean,
mean,
they're probably not happy but
Oh, right.
right,
we
so
did
we
feedback.
haven't granted access. It's really a matter of requesting more information from them, and seeing where that goes. I know that there's still conversation ongoing, so we'll see if we can get a representative here to explain to the board how that would all work. I know that would make folks feel a lot better, and so we're waiting on that.
yeah, that was actually where I was headed. If they want to, or if they really feel they have a reason for this, then they should come see us.
Yeah, and I will say, at a superintendent's meeting, probably 3 weeks ago now, we discussed it as a county, and it's varying. Some are doing it, some are not doing it.
Okay.
So,
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Enrollment is there for your visualization.
On the enrollment report, did we get any new information? I know when we talked last month, you were sort of waiting for the numbers to flush out with kids going from 8th to 9th grade. At this point, it looks like we lost 20% of that class. Did you get any more information on?
no, I didn't, but I can get that for you.
Yeah, that's
20% is a big.
Yeah. It's a big number.
no, we need to figure out Yeah, I mean, it's part of what people are concerned about is liability, so we need to stay on top of why that's happening and what we can do to turn that around.
Do we have, exit data from previous years? So if we look back, not just at last, once you do get that data, qualitative data, I don't know if you have it or looked at it. Could you compile?
Are you asking for
report?
quantitative data or qualitative data? Because I
Well,
don't,
both. So the
right, I don't know that I
qualitative,
have access. I don't know how far back I would be able to access qualitative data
like
related to that.
well, from this.
Right, I don't know how long they existed though. So
How long
that's-
it's kept.
No, I don't know how long
Oh,
they
they've been
actual
tracking.
exit surveys have
Okay. Do you
existed.
think it's a few years? at
I
least?
don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll look into that, but once you have, if you can, if other board members agree, I mean, I would like to look more than just one. I know it's high this
Yeah,
past year.
But this is a question that's come up.
Right,
almost every year.
and maybe it could be, whether it's in the board meeting or maybe it's, a topic for our data committee. Either way.
So can we plan to have whatever we have? I know there was probably 5 or 6 years ago, this was requested. And well, even before that, and it, at the time, there was pushback on, no, the data's not gonna be valid because kids are gonna, I just wanna go play sports there. Or, my friends are going, so I want to go. There was never anything. At least this is what we were told as a board. There was nothing that we could act on. If somebody says, I want to play football and number doesn't have a football team.
Right.
But yeah, if we go to executive session, we can talk a little more about it as well.
Mhm.
All right. But
I'm just saying, I don't know how long there were
I understand.
formalized surveys.
I
I mean,
understand.
I don't wanna assume why certain kids went, and I don't know how far back the surveys actually
Sure,
go.
no, I understand.
But we do
Thank
have
you.
surveys for this year.
No, we do, yeah, we do now, but that was something that was only created with this leadership team in place. So I don't know how
Okay.
valid anything before that is, because I don't know how they were even collecting that information.
why don't we, let's leave that for executive session.
Mhm.
Because it does get into some personnel
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right.
But if we can also pull together what we have.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
I apologize for not having it prepared. It slipped my mind.
All right, PTO report.
Oh,
Oops, I missed, sorry. Yours. Is there any questions?
Probably a question and a comment. So I know you've mentioned in the past that this isn't collected for Alden, but can we start doing that?
Do
I
it.
believe, including Alden. Sorry, that wasn't clear. That's really terrible. It may not be required, but I think it's
okay.
important.
I mean, I'd even say as far as Alan is concerned.
Oh, sure, if that happens. I don't
I
know.
mean, you might.
I mean, it's-
We might as well.
Yeah.
Right, right.
It doesn't happen.
Right.
It has happened.
Well,
It's not a common thing.
we might as
I mean,
well.
all denied, but
We might
does
as well,
happen.
right? Just district wide, sure, that's a good point. And then my other question would be, or comment, maybe just to think about, this could also be a good topic for data committee, like looking at trends over the years in terms of suspensions, other behavior problems that might help inform us, look at our trends, but might help when we're reviewing or deciding if you need to make any changes or modifications to the code of conduct.
So I would just request a little bit more
Sure.
information.
Of course.
So would you want that based on the disposition or the type of infraction? Because if
What do
I
you mean
tell
by
you there was
disposition?
X number of suspensions,
Mhm.
right, that's not gonna inform you as to what they were for.
Right, probably both of them, and we can get more into the weeds and,
I would
In a-
sort of be like,
in a-
if you're seeing an uptick in
in a-
vape suspensions.
right,
That would,
And I think that that's also probably going to be a little bit skewed by the fact that we now have big detectors,
Of
right?
course.
So there's
But
gonna
I-
be data to go along
Oh,
with that.
yeah, but what I mean,
Of
is that example would be if you saw that uptick,
of course.
that might be a reason to put in vape sensors or.
Yeah,
you-
yeah,
the
yeah.
two or
Oh, yeah,
counseling, that,
yes.
that would address
And
that
you-
specific
yeah.
issue.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm well aware, and we also may see an increase due to better enforcement,
yeah.
right?
Right.
So it's not a judgment, I think, just seeing,
Well, I think there's gonna be,
The
so
data.
vaping specifically, there's gonna be a huge jump in that.
yes.
Because when
Because
we
it's
installed the
been
vape
detected.
detection, obviously,
Yes.
right, there was a mechanism then
Right.
to monitor places that previously
Sure.
couldn't be monitored very easily.
Sure. But we may, I mean, that might be even just. We may need just to have a first day committee meeting to discuss what we want to see, right?
I mean, it would
A
be better,
planning meeting.
it would be better to have. The administration come to us and say, hey, I wanna put in 32 new vape sensors because. Let me show you the data that says it's on the rise and,
Yes,
you know, I mean. Our job is more to say, yeah, let's find the money, you know, and. Hey, you know, here's a good idea, let's randomly check, you know, lockers or, you know, that's. We should be getting from administration. Here's what we think we need to do, and the reason is this data.
Mhm.
But it would be, in the data committee, it would be interesting to see. You know, does it show something that, you know, do we see an instant uptick? A year ago or 2 years ago when we put the vape sensors in,
Mhm.
or is this something that is just gradually climbing?
Mhm.
Okay.
You should see an uptick in the drop off.
Yeah. hopefully.
Right,
Yes, that's the
Right.
point, right?
right, that would be.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Now, now PTO report.
So the PTO still needs to fulfill a treasurer position and memberships are always still welcome. Today at MMS, we held the first Dunks and Donuts with the principal, which was a success. It was capped at 40 students. It was held after school. It was a free event. And 40 students got to play basketball with their peers and Mr. Cabello, who kindly shared his time with the students and have donuts. So with that, we'll get feedback, hopefully from the students, and Mr. Cabello, how we can tweak it. If it was a success to do it annually potentially. The PTO is working on a possible float for the holiday parade in town. And, if you would like to purchase a blanket. Sample, here you can't see it, but it's a lovely blanket. with The M logo, it's $35. So if you want to purchase a blanket, we can get it to you through your student. And if you want to purchase a membership, we no longer have Venmo, but we have Square, and that's through the MCSD PTO Facebook page. And yeah, so, sorry, so just to reiterate, no longer Venmo, only Square. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Dina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
MEF?
We have our Taste of Mystery this Saturday. We're very excited about that. It is a Golden Girls themed 21 plus event, and it's entirely sold out. So we're very excited. Some people are coming in costume. So, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have great photos. So that's happening. It's a fundraiser and just a new novel activity for the community. And as mentioned, we recently funded three 3D printers for, to be
Project Lead the
used
Way.
between, Project Lead the Way, any engineering students and tech students between middle and high. So it's very exciting to get these grant requests, which are serving more than one building. So that's about it right now. So welcome other grant requests.
What's that?
We welcome other grant requests. We love getting them, reading them.
Questions?
Yeah.
Alright. Next is, well, future agenda items, if you have anything. Other than the, hopefully workshop we'll do in December. With that, we need to go to executive session. Just to remind everyone that the meeting is not over, because we go to executive session, we may come back from exec session and take action, which we have to do in public. So with that, do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Any against? Okay.